for having me. When Fraser called me a few months ago and asked whether I would participate to that place, I first was very much looking forward to see quite a lot of known faces. Then I went through all thoughts, what am I going to tell them about? Because I'm in a so much different industry. And what I'd like to drive you through a little bit is some observations and some of the differences, but also the very common points that I see through that. I will start a little bit like Alan did by telling a little bit of myself. I'm not so keen on doing that, but normally when you look at the work lives of someone, you look at the CV, you have a lot of story, and the older you get, the longer the text, and that's unreadable. So I do it in a very fast way, at least for the professional part. I've started with raw materials, specialty chemicals for imaging, first photography, and then for digital printing with CBA at the time, pigments, pigment preparations, dyes, stabilizers, light stabilizers, and all these type of things. Then I moved a little bit down the value chain, embracing inks with Sensient, at the time Sensient, now Sun Chemicals, and literally 20 miles down the highway from here. And this was formulated inks, already quite a different business, because as of a sudden, I was working with a potential customer of the first job. So you change a little bit the view, the frame, and the environment, but still. And then the next step was going one step further. I was the managing director of KBC for some time. So going from the ink to the final product through that value chain. And now, as life goes, there is opportunities and things that come to you. I am the managing director of a bakery business. This was a family bakery business that grew quite a lot. Today, it's 120 employees. And you may think there is a big difference between inks, dyes, pigments, and today, croissants, running a tea room, tarts, pastries, and all those things. How is that possible, and what makes it possible, and what is a common thing? If you look through a very, very, very common business process, you have a market, you have customers, and you have, on one side, you have a product realization process, where you need people who develop the right products for that market, of course, based on a strategy that is given by the owners and by the management, and you have a production that has to be within accepted quality and specifications. You have a sales process because you need someone who goes and visits that markets and brings it to the customer in a way or another, generating the products or the business development, generating orders and delivering the sales. And you have a management and support team that is basically fueling all that part of the organization, but also measuring what is fueling the part of the organization with resources, giving plans, objectives, and of course measure the results and build the strategy on that. This is very, very schematic and very general. Now, where would indifferences be between a retail business and an industry business? I think not so many. There is definitely in the reading the market, how do you get the information is different. The channel to the customer or to measuring the customer satisfaction is different. And of course, when you have a shop where people come in, the order processes or processing is a little different and the sales and delivery is a little different. In the requirement, it's about the customer intimacy. When you are, and most of us here are in a relationship type of customers, you have long-term customers, you sell them the first machine, the second machine, the third machine, if all goes well, the first print head, the paper, it's a relationship. With a customer that come into a shop every day, it may be different. Some of them, you have a strong and long relationship, you know exactly what they will buy, you can put it on the side in the morning, and many of them, if not most of them, especially in high traffic places, you see once and never again, not because they didn't like it, but because they move on to other places. That way makes it a little bit different to understand what are the needs, what are the expectations of the market and the requirements, and to define the service level. You could run a satisfaction thing at every sales by putting the three smileys maybe but it's a little different in that relationship. The order processing, of course, is different. First of all, you have to define yourself what you will put on the shop. It's a little bit like a make-to-stock, but with channels that are more uncertain because we depend on the weather, we depend on the holidays of the people, we depend on many parameters that makes it not so easy, and we have to manage the waste and make sure we don't generate too many. Because we are in shops, and this is against an order desk where you take the orders, you can plan your production, and you can plan your stocks. And the sales process, of course, is different. The customer comes to the salesperson rather than the salesperson going to the customer, which makes the dynamics a little different. And then, of course, in that process, again, the channels, the marketing channels are not quite the same because in a B2B, you will have other tools or you will use other tools than in a B2C where you try to talk to a lot of people through different channels. But having said that, it's not so different. If we go back to the same scheme and look a little bit at the people that you need in those places. For the product realizations, you need specialists, you need engineers, you need technicians, you need professionals, I need bakers and pastry specialists. For the sales process, you need salespeople who understand or know the market or have a relationship with the customer. Of course, you need the logistics and some administration. And then in management, this is probably the most common place. You need managers, HR, finance, and all those supporting parts. If we look from the type of people that are needed, generally, within the management and support, you can have some generalists because running an HR department is not so different from a bakery business than from an ink business, than from a bank. You have people to take care of, you have pay slips to generate, you have education to do, you have all the things. It's about the same, it applies to every place. When you go to the product realization staff, there you need your specialists because you don't make, or there are some reconversions, but not so often. You don't make a good baker out of a medical doctor or a printhead engineer out of a baker or a pastry specialist. Which means also that in the other way around, when you go the other side, the possibility or the flexibility to change industry is growing when you go towards more generalistic things. And my belief is that as a manager, we could apply to many different types of products with a little bit of willingness to understand and analyze the different parts. So going more into the opportunities and type of opportunities and risk analysis, challenges for the employee or the future employee, this is what I went through, going through those places, changing the environment down the value chain and then changing totally industry. Of course, the requirement is to put yourself as quickly as possible in the shoes of the new company, understand the values, understand the products, understand the markets, and understand the organization so that you can start being active. For the company, they have to accept that you have a learning phase. Often when we hire people, we expect them from day one to go and sell the same because they know all the customers and they take it on. There are some advantages in that, but there are some risks as well. So the company has to accept that sort of leading time and learning phase. In terms of opportunities, if you have the possibility and the challenge to apply what you have learned into something else, it's quite interesting and it's quite rewarding because you have to shake the mind and get open to new situations. We saw this morning with Alan, we saw it as well with Andreas. Think out of the box, get into the new shoes, look at the world outside, look that things are changing and adapt or bring your own knowledge to that, but be open always to what is coming. And this is an advantage when you are changing. And of course, you develop new skills. You start to understand other parameters in that. And for the company, this is, again, what it is bringing, an out-of-the-box thinking, moving from the silo mentalities, from the we have always done that, never reason to change, now, this is going to go, we know what we do, and all those type of thoughts. and also the opportunities to adjust the organization. Evolution is an adaptation to new factors and situations, and this is the way that companies, but also the people themselves can evolve, is by getting confronted to new situations, new environments, and then make the learning after that. Which leads us to put some thoughts about the recruitment processes that we are using or that are very common. Very often, probably too often, when you have an open position, you look at the person who was on the job and say, oh, let's look for a clone of that person. And what were you doing? Okay, we need someone who knows this, has done it for 15 years as you, and those type of things. You lose some opportunities. Of course, it's easy, because you take the job description, put it on LinkedIn today, and hope that you have 50,000 people, or 50,000, not too many, this is too many, but 100 or 200, and then you can apply the filters, because it's easy. You apply the filters, you check the boxes, but often you get to the wrong people, or you may lose opportunities. Of course, the other way around is to redefine first the job, because sometimes it also corresponds to an evolution and a move into the company, and say, oh, I had that marketing head that was dealing on those sectors. What do I want now? Do I want to combine with something else? Do I really want the same? Am I looking for a personality, or am I looking for a role? And I think this is the opportunity often to also think out of the box and look around and try to find other skills. Of course, the downside of it is that it takes much more time as a process. But at the end, you have a chance to have a personality, rather than a clone of the former person. That's a strong belief. If I look at our business today, and also to emphasize that I have brought some learnings and some experience, and not all of that is lost. We have a part of our business that is B2C, would qualify as a B2C. This is our tea rooms and bakery shops business. It's about 2/3 of our business. But we also serve a lot of customers by delivery service, hotels and restaurants, and we have some distributors, and we have some resellers. And this is a sort of a B2B2C, and again, the talks are different, the channels are different, you have different products, you have different pricing, you have to manage those resellers and distributors, as we are all used to do in our businesses. And we also have some really B2B part of that, which I have brought along, not the business, but some of the learnings I had from before, with some white label products that are being distributed by other people, like you would find a lot in the ink industry, we knew that, or large retailers and supermarkets for whom we manufacture some products. And again, the business processes are slightly different, but at the end, you have a product that they like at a price that they accept, and some conditions of delivery, some specifications. The parallels in the print business would be the cartridges and Soho for the B2C, refill shops. That word shouldn't be told too much now. But you have, on the other one, you have the resellers for the formulated inks, or those integrators, especially in the signage industry. There are people who are not really industrial, but they bring a service into their own to their own customers. And of course, the biggest part would be the B2B business that we are all involved in with industrial printers or large printers as a printing companies who are our customers, white labels, OEM inks, depending which part of the value chain you are looking at. Two more parallels before closing to see that you can close the loop. There are some machines that I use in the pastry business, which the Rico people here would love, but this is a 6-nozzle print head with a little more than a picoliter size. This is to make meringues or some pastry. The process is exactly the same than what you're used to. 3D printing in that case, it can be 2D. And one of the projects I have brought with, which is not realized yet, but this will be closing the loop between my printing part or experience and the bakery part. I hope to be able to put that together within the next year or so. This would be printing our own goods, joining all the things that I have accumulated during the career so far. Then I will be open to banking or not. I don't know. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.